Good morning, everybody. So, been a rough couple of weeks at work, and I'm only halfway through my coffee mug, so maybe I should reconsider the 9 a.m. Saturday morning time frame, but here we are. So, I held a survey, as many of you know, and I provided 4 choices for what I was going to do this weekend. Trina really campaigned hard for a hardware thing, but she lost out to HyperCard, as she should. But I'm actually going to do a little bit of hardware this morning too, because I retrobrighted my 2GS. And yeah, I got a 2GS. So thanks to Frank, FrodoJedi, made me a great deal on a box. Went the extra mile to make sure that I had one that works properly and everything. So thanks to him. And then got a whole list of people here I need to thank. Ron from Ron's Computer Video, he helped me out with some of the hardware. Joe from Joe's Computer Museum, he whipped up a adapter doodle for videos so that I could get this thing on my Extron. And then Javier, his lessons in retrobrighting helped me quite a bit. So. And it turned out pretty good. There's a little tiny, there was a label on the front, and you could still see, if you look really closely, a bit of a shadow from that. But my salon grade hydrogen peroxide is a week old now, and it's getting I think it outgassed too much. So anyway, it sat in a bath until 11 o'clock last night, so about I'd say 10 hours. Yeah, I want to thank Gut Bomb. Gut Bomb helped me quite a bit with getting images, an image ready for Drive and HyperCard and all that kind of stuff going. So he sent me his images, helped me sort out some issues, and Will from KMac Vintage, he also helped me out with a Dan 2 card so that I could get this thing to boot. I tried using my W drive, but I don't know what's going on with it. The W drive works just fine on an Apple IIe, but the 2GS just wouldn't recognize a boot device from it, so I'm not sure what's going on. I even reached out to Chris, I forget his last name. He's a reseller for them in the U.S., and he dug out his Apple IIGS and tried it and was able to boot. So I thank him too for helping me out with that. But last but not least, the solution for HyperCard uses a lot of memory, and I needed more than the adapter board, the memory expansion board that FrodoJedi sent me. So Garrett's workshop makes expansion modules that have modern RAM on them, and you can it'll work in 2 modes, either 8. Let me share the information here. It'll work in either 8 megabyte or it's switchable to 4 megabytes. 4 megabytes was supposed to be the max memory, and but it'll run on 8, and if you have issues, there's software for managing the card to switch it to 4. Great little card, and it's a fairly inexpensive solution. I believe they're like $45. He also has it completely open source, so if you want to source the chips and build a card yourself, you can. But I highly recommend this. This was a great solution. And his user guide is well written. The latest incarnation has an activity LED so you can see what's going on. Goes over a lot of compatibility, how to use the RAM capacity software. You know, it's just a really well written guide to using this little card. So highly recommend it. Let's see, did I miss anyone? So I got FrodoJedi, Ron, Joe from Joe's Computer Museum, Javier, Gutbomb, K-Mac Vintage, and Garrett. So I also want to thank Bill Atkinson for HyperCard, obviously, and LSD, or the use of LSD for programming. Not that I would know anything about that. So let's see who's in the chat. Oh, let me switch back to the camera so you can look at my ugly mug. So who do we got this morning? So I got a message from Dave's Vintage Apple Tech that he's got a sub for somebody at work this morning, so he wasn't able to catch the stream. 9 o'clock Eastern. It's pretty early on the West Coast, so I appreciate anybody that's here from the West Coast. I'm doing the 9 a.m. on Saturday partly because it was a nice, clean, open slot. Nobody else is doing anything. Big Bad Biologist is usually streaming at noon, so you want to catch that. And Tech Ambrosia sometimes in the evening or late. I think Trina and Gutbomb are also going to be streaming today, so you want to make sure you catch them. Let's see. So who else do we have here? Eric Rangel. Good morning, Eric. Yes, Ron kept us up late last night. Ron, Steve from Mac 84, and Sloopy, and several others all attended VCF East and had a good time. So they had a little retrospective last night on that. And I imagine there was probably an after party that kept people going. Let's see, who else do we have? Trina, as I mentioned before, Trina's Technobabble is here. Gutbomb is here. Good morning. Who else do we have? Retro Techie. Yes, HyperCard and not some iMac garbage. You can see in the back of the screen, way over here, the iMac is sitting there waiting to be messed around with. So you may have you may know from previous videos that I attempted to fix one. It had a short that was cutting out the video and causing it to reboot, and trace the short down to the neck. If you held the screen in a certain position, it would work, but if you moved it, it would cut out. And I did a stupid thing. I opened the frickin' neck up because that's where the wires go. And there's a spring in there, and it's very heavy. And if that spring comes loose, you're going to have a bear of a time getting it back in without the right tools. And, of course, I don't have the right tools. So it's in a bin up here as spare parts because I gave up on it. Now I have another one that came from the Retro Horde that was pretty cheap, and it's the same size screen and everything, so I believe that one's a 17-inch. So anyway, so I will see if that one's working here sometime soon, but not today. Let's see, who else do we have? Sorry, my phone's going off. PRIJKS. Good morning from Illinois. Big Bad Biologist is here. Yeah, I'll get that iMac fixed here. I realize that there may be a spare part neck for that, so thank you, Big Bad Biologist. Then I'll have two of them. And one of them will end up at VCF Midwest. So somebody else can have fun with it. Yep, I think I got everybody covered. So welcome all. So there is going to be, oh yeah, the survey. So it was HyperCard programming, Apple II programming, working on the iMac lamp, or none of the above. None of the above got 4% of the votes. So somebody voted for that. Hey, Steve from Mac84 is here. Good morning, Steve. I hope you've had coffee. Because I guess Ron kept everybody up late. I know I was up late. I was retrobreeding this 2GS and then advertised that I was going to use the 2GS in the live stream today, and then realized that it was disassembled. So there's going to be a little bit of reassembly going on this morning. If for some reason I borked the machine, and I hope to heck I haven't, I have a backup where I can use my Power Macintosh G3 to do the HyperCard. So let's switch cameras and get to it. My bench is a mess. Why is my phone going off? Because I have a text message. CVS really wants me to come pick up some meds. All right. Let's turn the mic. Hopefully you guys can hear me. This mic is rather directional, even with the direction stuff turned off. So sometimes my audio is not loud enough. Should be fine right now. So let's get this camera in a position where we can actually see something. So there you go, Trina. There's the lamp just waiting to be worked on. And this is the current state of the 2GS. So I had it all apart, disassembled. Did not use a guide to disassemble it. I actually figured out how to do it on my own. And then, you know, one of the things you have to do if you're going to retrobreak one of these, you have to take the metal bits out because, you know, that H2O2 does things to metal. But they have these little plastic things that have been melted down to hold it in. Stands, I guess, with little melted tabs. So there's a couple of ways you can correct this. Let me see if I can get this up here so you can see it. Might be a little difficult with the shiny bits. You can see one of them. Yep. If I can point my finger at the right one. There's one right here. Okay. Anyway, I believe Dave from Dave's Vintage Apple Tech, he melts with acetone some plastic and then dabs it on here to replace the little rivet. I could do the same thing, but that takes time. So I just use a dab of epoxy and put it on there, and it's good enough. So you can still cut it off if you need to later, but it's enough to hold the shield on. So in honor of Trina, I'm going to turn this on and test it before I put the cover on, because that's what she would do. I have anthropomorphized my computers. I think that they can detect when you're not confident, and if you show weakness, they won't start up. It's weak to not reassemble the whole thing, but so be it. So let me get the video situation taken care of here. I got to switch cables on my Extron. And one of the things I need to get is like a VGA switch box so that I can do this. Power cable. Okay, let's switch over to the monitor. I do not have the keyboard plugged in. Let's take care of that. I also retrobreaded the keyboard. So a lot of the time spent last night until midnight was putting all the frickin' keys back on. It turned out pretty good. It's not 100%. Around here they're still yellow. And the M key is sticking. The 5 key used to stick, but I replaced the switch. That's a royal pain. There's little bitty parts that are springs that go all over the place. I sacrificed the numpad key because I don't care about the numpad. Anyway, so the M key sticks. I'm going to have to do the same thing for that. Because I love these keyboards. They're really nice. And even though it still has a number pad and I don't have a use for that, I learned how to type on a typewriter. That's what these keys are for. I'd rather have a shorter keyboard. You know, I really only need this much of the keyboard. But that's still fairly short. So, keyboard. Let's hook up the mouse. And tools are rolling all over the place. Oi. This is a neat little gadget. Center in camera, Eric. It's just part of this inexpensive little toolkit my wife bought me a while ago. And it's got a rounded knob on it, and this is great for pushing out the Apple logo. The thinnest one seems to fit really well in the hole. So alright, so we got our keyboard. Let's fire it up. Yep, I need to adjust the video. These are great. These Extrons are really great for this. They're very flexible. Yep. Oh, I thought I had that saved as number 2. Well, we can just do auto. It helps if you push the right buttons. There we go. Oh, great. So, because I had it powered off and everything out, now the Dan card wants to do something. I wonder if I put it in the wrong slot. I think I did. So, let's correct that. Press return. There we go. Alright. I just had it in the wrong slot. So this seems to be working. Let's see what's going on. Yep, slot 7. Yeah, I knew that as soon as I booted. Will, thank you. So let's look at the chat a little bit. Yeah, none of the above for U.S. president. Yeah, I think the majority of us would prefer to have another choice, but sometimes you choose the lesser of the evils, and I won't say any more about that. Lesser of the evils is subjective. I realize that's why we have elections. So, be nice, Trina. Work on it next stream. Yeah, I think it's fair. Oh, there's still a problem with this video cable signal, the conversion. The color is not quite right, but it's good enough, and it's a lot clearer than using the composite output. So, yeah, big bad biologist. Although I'd say the cordyceps wire solutions is showing its strength. It's like, I'm going to connect you whether you want to or not. So I would say that makes up for turning things on with the cover off. There aren't even screws in this case. No, there aren't in the case, but there are 3 screws in the keyboard. And it uses an A to B keyboard, which is nice. So let's see. Just code and assembly language. I did start learning assembly a year ago for it, but I haven't gone back to it. So I am fiddling around a bit in BASIC on the Apple IIe and the I guess on the 2GS, although I haven't done it yet. Yeah, the Dan card works really well. So KMac Vintage sells them if you guys need anything like that. Yes, it would have worked first try, even in the wrong slot if I'd put the cover on. Frog find for president. Frog find for Passover. Frog find forever. I agree. Frog find is excellent. It's a good oracle. All right, so I need to shut this thing down so I can move it, so I can get to the keyboard without breaking my neck. So, well, let's see. You can see how it's. Hang on. The Apple logo is not quite right. Or is it? I don't know. Colors are off. I think it's missing a little bit of green. So let's shut down. Ugh. And put the cover back on. Cover, where did I put you? So like I said, this turned out pretty well. You know, this is what I was talking about, popping out to make sure it doesn't fade. There was still plastic covering this too from it being sealed, so that Apple logo is in really nice shape because of that. You probably can't see it, but there was a label on here about this size, and it's still slightly visible, but it's so minor that I don't think I'm going to take this apart to retrobrite it again. I'm just going to leave it as is. Oh yeah, I got to put these back on too. I'll do it later though. The little port expansion card covers need to go back on, but we can do that later. Okay, so I'm going to, how am I going to do this? I don't have a really long keyboard extension. I think I'm going to just flip this around because I can't stand here. I don't have a monitor hooked up here. I would crane my neck around to do that, so we're going to do it this way. I am going to see if I can't get the keyboard over here. Still might be a bit awkward. I'm using a stool, a bench stool, to do this. But, well, maybe I can reach all the way over. Sorry about the logistics. I didn't really get this worked out very well. Oh, I know what I can do. Okay. Move the coffee. Move the phone. Move the keyboard. Oh, this case didn't get closed all the way. Now, what's going on with it? Yeah, figure that out later. We're going to put this over here on the stool. Bear with me a second. Aha! This will reach. Barely. Grab my notes. Switch screens. Hello. Turn it on. Okay, it's a little awkward with the keyboard, but it's on my keyboard tray, so this will work. And let me get the mic moved. Someday I'll have a professional setup. No, I won't. Good enough. Stop playing with it, Eric. Don't play with that. Okay. Let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Sorry, I still don't have this microphone set up the right way. All right. Can you hear me? Good. I don't know if you can or not. It's going to have to do. All right. Frog Find's cool, Trina. You should try it out. Of course, you got to have a vintage machine for you to have a reason to use it, but don't you have like a vintage Apple or something? No, the problem is that the video cable that converts it to VGA isn't quite right. Where the cable is fine, and it's the interpretation of the adapter. So what I'm using is Ron mentioned to Joe that there was a conversion adapter thing that you could use. Joe, figured out the pinout for it as best he could, made a cable, tried it, had the same problem, sent it to me to see if it was maybe his machine or something. I have the same effect, so it's like missing part of a signal or something. Anyway, but it works so much better than hooking up composite output that I'm gonna go with it. We'll figure it out later. Oh good, the mic's fine. So I am using a VGA to HDMI box. It's an Extron and it works great. The nice thing is that it'll automatically detect the geometry and configure things for you, which is nice. You have a Quadra 650, so you could browse the internet in all its glory like yesteryear. Now Frog finds a great solution for stripping out all the stuff that the old browsers can't render. So, all right. So we got our desktop. Let's get on to the subject of the day, which is HyperCard. Trina, you're excused, or you can hang around. It's up to you. So, last time I talked about ELIZA, which was a program written in the I think it was in the 67 by somebody who was investigating human-computer interaction, and it's a very simple program that looks for keywords it's a chatbot, looks for keywords and then has a canned response using a particular style of psychoanalysis where you basically turn around and go, how does that make you feel when you say something? Or tell me more about why your friends don't like you, or, those kinds of responses. So he wrote this program and was rather shocked when he found out his secretary was confiding in it as if it were human. And other people started treating it like it had human characteristics and were amazed and thought that he had taught a computer how to be human. Or anyway, people are easily fooled. But it does tell you, something about humans, really, and that very simple programs can have complex output, and seemingly appear to be, smarter than they are. The current AI is really just a large language model that statistically predicts what the next word or thing is, but they're really not that far from ELIZA and programs like it. They have a lot more data. There are algorithms that are much more complex that do some analysis to figure out and try to understand, and I use the term understand very loosely here, try to contextualize the conversation and do things, and they're great. They can be great tools for things. However, it's not intelligence. Intelligence is something entirely different. I forgot to play the where's the beef thing. Oh well, we'll just keep going. It's artificial, I'll give it that, but it's not intelligent. It doesn't know. It's not aware, thank God, because that's how you get Skynet. There's several movies about that. I'm not afraid of AI, and it's just like the recent plague we had. Being concerned and being cautious is not the same thing as fear. It's being intelligent and smart about things and using tools correctly. AI is great if you train it with relevant data, just like Eric Rangel is saying. Some of the objections I have with it, although legally, and I think it's going to come out this way in the wash with all the lawsuits, it doesn't violate copyright because it is considered fair use to use information that is copyrighted to do derivative works or parody or things like that. AI is still, in my personal opinion, violating the principles behind copyright because they're not attributing that use. So if you use an AI, a large language model, and train it on the internet, and that's what they're doing for a lot of this stuff. There are vendors that are doing it with subsets of data that, they don't have this problem. Then you are benefiting from open sources of information or open source software, if you're talking about software and programming at this point, that have licenses that require attribution. And AI is not attributing that. So that's where I have my objections to it. It's not because I think it's evil and it's going to take over the world, but it's definitely abusing, in my opinion, even if legally, the intent behind copyright and open source. Also, I think it's yet again another magic bullet that capitalistic corporate America will use to eliminate people, because capitalism and corporations aren't about employing people, it's about profit. And anybody who says otherwise, well, they're not a true capitalist. There are, companies that do truly do things for the benefit of their employees. Employee-owned companies, for example. But it is about profit. And there isn't anything wrong with that. I once held an LLC myself, decided not to pursue it. Who wants to work 80 hours to make 40 hours worth of income? But anyway, this is a rather long rant, and I will stop here. Let's get on to the fun stuff, shall we? So, you can run HyperCard in the 2GS. And it's in color. Now, you can do color HyperCard on a Macintosh, but you have to add things to the stack to be able to do that. It's not out of the box color, but on a 2GS it is. And I've never used it other than briefly for a few minutes to try it out. So here's a good thing. I'll say one more thing about the AI thing. One of the things that they're trying to do is to use AI to watch AI, to help put guardrails around it. But it's AI all the way down then. Who's to say that the AI watcher is not hallucinating, right? But yeah, gut bomb. I agree with you 100%. I'm concerned about the use of it. It's like having a weapon. The weapon itself is not at fault. It's how it's used. We need to be the guardians to make sure AI is rolled out properly at our companies. That's a human problem, very much so. It will be done as excuse my French, a shit show, which is not French. Merde. It'll be merde. Excuse my pronunciation. In academic circles, citation and attribution have been so vital for advancing ideas. I agree. AI moves the other way. So, yeah, the Apple IIGS is just dumb enough to be a more interesting tool. I agree. One of the things I like about the retro computing is it simplifies things. Um, and when you're a kid learning to program, uh, or even a high school student, you're no longer a kid, but a high school student that's learning to program, and they throw them into Java of all things. Nothing wrong with Java. It's a perfectly valid computer language. So is COBOL. How many people actually have fun in COBOL? Um, Veronica explains is the one person I know that actually does COBOL or did it for a living. But anyway, regardless, programming languages are programming languages. They all have redeeming qualities and stuff. Um, but the environment that you're doing it in, um, it takes so much work to get Hello World out of Java, or even C for that matter, that it's a real barrier to introducing computer programming to kids or even adults. I like the 8-bit computers where you just flipped them on and they went right into BASIC. Yes, if you had to resort to peeks and pokes, that's just as hard, right? But there was something somewhat magical about being able to just open up a computer, start up a computer, and get the programming right away and do cool things. So I think we've lost some of that magic. So I actually had an opportunity to take a COBOL class when I was learning computer science, and I didn't intentionally. I wanted nothing to do with COBOL. Oh, the screensaver kicked in because I've been talking so long. Yeah, I never used COBOL. I did Unix and C in college, and then personal computers. So I did DOS programming in C on a PC in 1989 when I got my first job after college. So. Yeah, Gutbaum told me this. He provided the OS for this, and this is his favorite screensaver. Oh. All right. So, back to the subject of today. Let me bring up something rather academic. Desktop. So, digital media archaeology. This was a paper written by Noah something or other. Wardrip Fruin. It's only one of the references. It's not the first one I found for this, but I thought it was really interesting. And this is a good introduction. I believe I've got a link to it in the video. But if I don't, I'll make sure it's there. And there's some others. Back in the 50s, after World War II, in 52, computers were starting to take off. They were still mainframe-sized computers. And the Manchester Mark I, which was at the Manchester University in the UK, that was a computer that was worked on by Alan Turing. I don't know if he designed it and built it, but anyway, it was Alan Turing's computer, basically, not the university's. And Christopher Strachey was somebody that went to school with Turing, so they knew each other. Christopher Strachey was a school teacher. I guess he had some problems while he was in college and going to university, had to take some time off, went back, he's brilliant, and you know, but didn't do well in his studies, so he ended up getting a second level kind of graduation assessment. I don't know how it works in the UK, which prevented him from doing research or going into that. So he ended up going into teaching. Brilliant guy. And he asked, because he had a relationship with Alan Turing, asked him if he could send him the manual that Turing wrote for the Manchester Mark I. Then he he had already written some software. He did a game called Draughts, which was basically checkers, on a computer that barely could execute it. And he wanted to be able to do better. So Turing sent him the manual. He converted his program, rewrote it to work on the Mark I, all on paper and pencil, because that's what you did back in the day. Getting computer time was difficult and expensive. So Alan Turing trusted him enough that he showed him how the computer worked, because he showed up there to work with it, and let him use it overnight. So starting in the evening and until the next morning, he had full access to this computer, and he turned around and rewrote his Draught game overnight, and had it mostly working, and showed it off. And at the Alan Turing had also recognized that he could do, with tying it to the clock cycle of the computer, he could do clicks out of a speaker so that he could do tones, and this was how a lot of computers did sound at the time, was just by doing clicks at a certain frequency would give you different tones. So Christopher added to the end of the program, when it was playing Draughts, it would play the national anthem at the end. And this impressed people so much that he actually got a job offer to work in one of the computer labs and work on one of the other computer systems, the design of it and everything, which was pretty cool. Not too many people could just sit down at a new machine cold and write a program in a marathon session like that, especially overnight. So, brilliant guy. One of the programs he wrote, and this is considered one of the first instances of performative or computational art, was a love letter program that did a simple text substitution, using parts of speech and some structure to write Victorian style love letters. So that's the program we're going to do today. Anyway, if you want to look up Christopher Strachey and Alan Turing and stuff, there'll be links in here. But I'm amazed at the amount of skill that these people had, and the imagination that went into it. One of the things that Christopher did was he actually patented the first conceptual multitasking, time sharing, the concept of time sharing on mainframes. That was him. That was his idea. He had the first patentable solution to that. So that was a big deal for time sharing these computers. Up until that point, until they had time sharing in, the machine was dedicated to whichever program you loaded and ran. So we take a lot for granted today. All right, back to the computer stuff. So let's go back to the computer. All right, I apologize for the quality of the video, but here we are. And let's open HyperCard up. I love how boxy this is. So I already started the writing the program here. This is how far I got before I had to put it away. I created a card, a stack, with a card. The 2GS is a bit slower, so you do have to kind of wait around for things to happen. Do 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 do. Should play Jeopardy music. Oh, we finally got our watch cursor. Sometimes it's not how well the bear dances, it's that the bear can dance at all, is the way I look at this. Well, here's your stack. So, Love Letters by Christopher Strachey. I've got a little about button here that does nothing, and I've got this icon here. One of the things that's great about the Apple IIGS with color, there's some fun icons. So instead of it just being the tilted triangle with the hand and the pen over it, it's got this. But and this text box here. So we'll go to the tools. So you got very similar to the Macintosh. Here's our text box. So there's a little bit of a delay. I double clicked on it. So it does take a bit to show up. So this is a field called Love Letter. And let's look. What I did when I prototyped this is I programmed it for the card, and let's call this card Love Letters. Alright, so we've got our script for the card, and I'll have to type this in. Hopefully there's not too many letters or things with the character M, since that's a sticky key, but here we go. Hopefully you guys can read this okay. So we're going to do a function called generate letter. Oh, it auto-indents in the editor. That's interesting. One of the things that somebody wrote a editor that can replace the standard editor in HyperCard that does a little bit of code completion. So it would do end generate letter and reposition the cursor for the first line of code like this. I need to play around with that because I would like to get the source code to that and then do some more advanced things, like if you have it check variables to make sure that it's not just defined once, that you actually have it defined and initialized, things like that, so that you can avoid typos and some more modern IDE features. So we need parts of speech. We need a salutation. We need adjectives. Oops. So the double dash is a comment. We need nouns. We need adverbs. We need verbs. Alright. So we're going to define these. So the algorithm to this Love Letters things, I do have this all in my my other stack, but I'm not going to retype it here. It does really simple 2 different kinds of sentences. The first is it starts with the word my, does an adjective, a noun, an adjective, a verb, your, adjective, and then noun. And it has some probability. It rolls dice to figure out whether it should have an adjective or not, and then it randomly picks different words. And then there's a short sentence form that is, you are my adjective noun, with a comma, and then it'll just do a random number of those before it ends the sentence. And then, it says yours, and nobody knew, Turing knew that he wrote this program, and Turing may have worked on this program with him. But he would run it, print out a letter, and then pin it to a board, and the signature was yours, MUC. MUC stood for Manchester University Computer. So they were a bit of an anonymous love letter. So it was kind of neat. So anyway, we need words here. So we're going to put a list of words into a variable. The default for a separator for a list of words is a comma. So these are the sorry, this is supposed to be into. This is written with kind of archaic language. Parts of the words used are very somewhat Victorian adjectives. Affection, and I won't do all of the words here. Oop, there's that stuck M. Okay, there's a line continuation character so that we can read these things. What we're going to do is do this, shift enter. Nope, that's not it. Is it? No, it's option enter. There you go. ADJS. Okay, we're just, like I said, do a subset of these. Okay, the first put statement just overwrites anything in that variable, and the second one, the after keyword, puts it after the list, okay, or after the variable. So we'll just do that much. Let's see, nouns, put and you don't need spaces. Again, there's much more words in here, but we're just doing a sample. Adverbs. And then verbs. Oops. Okay. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to generate the beginning. Put random. Yeah, this is going to be a problem. Item. Ah! That's stuck M. Random item. Well, it looks like I've got more than just a few sticky keys. We might have to shut down and plug in a different keyboard. So, I imagine the ADB keyboard in an Apple IIGS is also not hot swappable. So, we're going to put that into the text. Ah, all right. I've had enough of this. So let's save this. Okay. We're going to quit HyperCard. HyperCard automatically saves your stack as you work on it. And we're going to shut down, and I'm switching keyboards. I wonder if I just need to lubricate these keys, but I think that requires taking them apart. Maybe there's a way you can inject it. Yeah, I'm not going to chance it either, because I'm sure since people say not to do it and Apple says not to do it, it'll happen occasionally where you bork something. Why take the chance, right? Okay, so let's power this off, and we're going to switch keyboards. So, I really want this keyboard to get back into good shape. When I fixed the one key, and all I did was swap the innards for another, I lost the spring that keeps it from that makes it click. And I wasn't too concerned about it because the key functions regardless, but I really don't want to do that. I want it to function correctly. So, well, here's the problem. This keyboard is on this computer and it's live. And I don't want to shut that down. So, do I have another keyboard? I gotta have a third keyboard somewhere. I'm pretty sure I got a third keyboard. I hope I don't have to dig it out. Alright, well, here's what we're going to do. I got to swap screens so I can shut down this other computer so I can grab its keyboard. Because I really want to do this on the 2GS. I mean, I could do it on here, but what's the fun in that? Okay, so that's shut down. We can unplug this keyboard now. And plug this one in. Alright. And switch the video back. Okay. So, Big Bad Biologist, what are you going to be working on today? And oh, anybody that's streaming today, if you want to put the links into the chat, feel free to. I am going to, let's see. Oh, I can't do it from here. I have to go. Give me a second. Need to make a couple of people admins so that they can add links. Which means I have to go to my video. Okay, BBB, you're now a moderator, so you can publish your link to your video. And so is Gut Bomb. Yeah, I'll set up a my own image, but this is good for now, and I appreciate you giving me one. So. I'll probably make one that's dedicated just to HyperCard, so I've got one that I can do that, and another one for gaming or something like that. Yes, Trina is streaming too. So, and she's already a moderator, so she can put that in. Okay. Big Bad Biologist and Gut Bomb, you're both moderators. Yes. Hey, Rob. I used to be a member of the United Methodist Church. So good luck with your services. Hope everything goes well. I was baptized an Episcopalian. Sorry. It's all good. All right. So let's get back into this. HyperCard. Love letters. Animasia 3D app. Okay. I will do that. La 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 la. So Trina has posted her link, and so has the big bad biologist, Big Bad Bench. Oh, so BBB is going to see if a real backplane fixes picogust compatibility, as opposed to a fake backplane. Objects, card info. Script. Okay, let's see if we can type on this without as much trouble. Yes, much better. Now the keys on this are a little squishier. It's not my favorite keyboard. It's my favorite out of the keyboards I have. This is an Apple Keyboard 2. I like keys that have more of a snappy response, but this one also works. It's the best one I've got. So we want to put this after. Let's see. Where was I? Oh, we actually need to put some additional stuff in here. Need a space. Random item from the second list. And a comma. And return after the text. Okay. Put empty. It's a keyword. It's just an empty string. And this variable is going to be used to tell what kind of sentence was done for the last one. And you'll see why. So we're going to repeat with I equals 0 to 5. If random 10 is less than 5, so we're flipping a coin. So it'll either be, 1 through 5 or 5 through 10. Long form. So this is going to do the long form of the sentence. Okay. So we're checking the last, which is empty. Is not empty, then put a period and a space after the text. So that will finish the last sentence. Put my space after the text. So we're starting a new sentence with my. If random 10 is less than 5, then put random item. Need an adjective after the text. Put random item nouns after. So you can see how this is going to work. It's just sticking some random words. Random 10 is less than 5, then put random item, an adverb after the text. Put random item verbs and after the text. So we're just building up the string here. If random 10, 5, then put your and the double ampersand, yeah, symbol means you're appending a space. So I could just do your space and then a single ampersand, but it's something that HyperCard does for you. Almost mistyped it. Yeah, I'd like to write a linter in HyperCard for HyperCard. So we just did a long sentence. We're putting that into the last. And now we do the short form. So if we're already doing the short form, then we've already got a sentence with a comma after it, or need a comma after it. Put after the text. So we're going to finish off the first part of the sentence with the comma. Else, if the last is long, which means we just finished a long one, put we're going to start a new short sentence there. Else, put you are. And we don't need to finish off a sentence because there wasn't one before. Now we're going to do an adjective. And a noun. Okay, and that ends our 5 sentences. Got to finish off the last sentence. Oop. Oops. Quote. Yours and random item ADVS and comma and return and m.u.c after the text. Return the text. Okay, we should be at the end of our function. Yep. Now, random is a built-in function, but random item is not. It's something I did so that I wouldn't have to keep pasting the same boilerplate in. So we need a random item function, and what this does is select a random item from the list. So return item random, the number of items in the list of the list. So it tries to do an English kind of a thing. The number of items in the list returns how many items there are. Random gives you the random of that, either 1 through the number of items in the list of the list, and we're returning it. So this ends the code for generating a love letter. If I had a linter, I would run it through it now to see whether I had initialized variables, etc. Or had a misspelled a variable. It could tell because you'd have a variable that's undeclared. Or you could change the editor so that it does it as you go, and it would do little squigglies or something on it, or somehow make it bold or highlight it so that you know that you're doing something wrong. Anyway, so that's it. The problem is that this button doesn't do anything. It doesn't actually, it's not wired up to the function. So we need to wire that up. So we change the button tool. Go to the script for the button. On mouse up. Now in on the Macintosh, it automatically puts this script mouse up in here. I don't know why it doesn't do on the 2GS. Anyway, we need to call our function, so we called it generate. Put generate letter into card field love letter. Okay, so that should take the results of generate letter and put it into the card field love letter. Let's give it a try. So go back to our browser tool. And there's a bug. Can't understand what's after. That's interesting. So there's no debugger. Can't understand what's after. So it's a little short on features. But must have a typo somewhere. Ah, put rant. Nope, that's right. That's fine. Then put. Oh, I did my typical typo. I have a habit of misspelling empty. Oh. Yep. I put an H. I said empty. That's a typical typographical error I make. Thank you for catching that, Bill Goats. It's interesting that you don't have the debugger. Hey, it worked. Okay. Fanciful deer. My being holds dear being. My ardor adores being. You are my craving ardor. You are my avid affection. You are my amorous appetite. You are my breathless affection. Yours anxiously, MUC. So it's a little short on vocabulary, but you can see how it works. And then write, and you'll get a different random response eventually. Probably should do the watch cursor. You are my affectionate appetite. Honey chickpea. Honey duck. My craving ambition affectionately attracts appetite. You are my craving being. My ambition. Yeah, so you get the idea. Given enough words, it could generate some interesting results. But it's a really simple program, and there's not a lot to it. I could add a configuration screen with sliders to change the probabilities. So you could have it heavy on the adjectives, but light on the adverbs or whatever. There's some things that could be done with it, but this is for 1952 with a really think about the limitations of those programming environments and what they had to deal with. These should be in greeting cards. Maybe I'll do a greeting card generator for it, and you can print out greeting cards. That would be fun. But yeah, so this is basically how it works. It's a very simple program, and this is what passes for AI, at least in 1952. This predates ELIZA by a decade and predates Mad Libs. Mad Libs, the original concept, was thought of in 1953 and not implemented until later. But this is exactly what Mad Libs is just having placeholders where you can pick words to put into it. So, so this is computational art. Some would say, if you read the analysis of this, some would argue it's a parody, and it's poking fun at the simplicity of love letters, and and also at the I guess the way people try to enamor themselves with others, that kind of a thing. So you could think of it as a parody, or you could just appreciate it for what it is. I don't know. Anyway, so I think maybe I'll mess around with a greeting card generator. Merge it with the print shop. That might be asking a bit much. I've never used the print shop, so I don't know if it has the capability of importing text from a file. Maybe it does. If you can run AppleScript against it, if it's one of the apps you can script with AppleScript, then you might be able to have HyperCard drive it. I don't know. It's something to look into. That could be interesting, because you can start applications with AppleScript from within HyperCard and then control them if they have the right level of script exposure. Anyway, so that's it for today. The Apple IIGS works. Let me switch back. It can run HyperCard even if it's a bit slow. I don't know why my screen went dark there for a minute. Maybe it was starting up the screensaver and I interrupted it. Sorry, let me switch back. So that's basically it for today. Next week's stream, I'm not going to do a survey. I will work on hardware probably next week. Maybe it'll be hardware and we'll install HyperCard or something like that. So what else can I say? I hope everybody that went to VCF East enjoyed it. I will be at VCF Midwest. I'll be there a day early. So I'll be there Thursday night. And I'm gonna see if I can get a table. If I do, it's gonna be a programming table, so it'll have various machines with running my stacks and maybe some other stuff, so that people can come up and play around with them. Hopefully, I will have the adventure game put together well enough. I'm already starting to run out of time doing that, where I can have that available for people to play with. I do want to work on a box set for it, so I may have limited sales of box sets of the game. Still a lot of work to do on that, though. Don't have the manual yet. We got to do that. We got to do artwork, and there's only a few months left before September, so yeah, I wish everybody could go to Midwest. Oh, and thank you. I would appreciate spending some quality time with all of you there. Maybe I can make it to East some year. I figure I've got another 5 or 6 years of work, maybe as much as 9 before I retire. And, sometime in that time period, I'll be able to afford to go to VCF East instead of Midwest, or maybe do both in 1 year. After I retire, it's going to be a little tight on doing stuff like that. So anyway, we'll see. Retirement's years off, so I don't have to worry about that. I'll probably work until I die, is really what the reality is. So anyway, that's pretty much it for today's stream. Thank you for watching and joining. Hit like if you like the content. Hit like even if you don't like the content. Hit thumbs down. It's still engagement, right? if you like this and want to see more and get notifications, hit the like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the things, all the YouTube things. You can find me on Mastodon at bigBang.social, Eric's Edge. You already found me on YouTube at Eric's Edge Videos. I also post a little bit on Blue Sky, Eric's Edge. Not on there very much, but I do. That place formerly known as Twitter, I left a year ago, so you won't find me there. You'll find me on Discord. What else? Oh yeah, I have a Patreon. If you care to contribute as little as $1 a month, you could do the Patreon thing. All the funds there go right back out to other patrons. so that's that. I also have a coffee if you care to contribute. I use those funds to do things like purchase hardware, and I recapped an LC2, and the funds I received went specifically to that, to buy the recapping kit from Console 5. Great place. They're actually only a few miles from where I live. I'll have to figure out if there's a way I can pick up instead of having it shipped. I'm working on some 3D design stuff for 3D printing. Not ready to announce it yet, but I'm working on something that should be fun. Probably take me a year to build, but that'll be something I'll live stream about too. I'll have some streaming on that, but it's not ready for prime time. And I need to get the adventure game out. So there's that. Anyway, thanks for joining, everybody. And I will see you next time. Where is the button? That's not the button. There it is. Okay, loud music coming.